Hey everybody, Alex Miller at Cadmion here. This video is going to be about hot new LLMs, either that have been recently released or more often that are rumored to be coming soon. And really what I want to talk about is how do you evaluate these things? Are you supposed to care? If you care, what's the right way of caring? And then also I think it's interesting to look at the actors producing these things and how does that get cooked into the results. So the three I have in mind are the Technology Innovation Institute in the United Arab Emirates, which I personally have incredible trouble remembering the name of because it's such a generic name, Technology Innovation Institute, just released a new version of Falcon, which is a line of LLMs they've had out for a while, regarded as amongst the best performing of the open source options by many people. And I'll talk a little bit more about what that means. And then also, no guardrails in this one, so I'll talk about that too. Meta, often called Facebook more familiarly, has the Llama series of models, and they're rumored to be releasing a new Llama, maybe Llama 3. I don't know if it has the name yet. These are also very influential in the world of open source LLMs. And I think there's also interesting things to be said about what's Facebook's angle here. Finally, Google has a rumored model called Gemini that's supposed to be coming at some point in the non-distant future. And there's some hype, probably leaked gossip out there about it that I'll talk about. And I think it's interesting for what do people gossip about when nothing is known. And it's actually a really complicated widget that's hard to say, like what should you gloat about in your LLM before people can release and tinker with it. And then also, it's just kind of in a negative sense, OpenAI is the elephant in the room here, and I'm going to kind of not talk about them, but I'll talk about some interesting reasons why. So, starting with Falcon, Falcon is the product of a research institute in Abu Dhabi. You can look at leaderboards on Hugging Face, for example, that will give performance metrics. Falcon is typically regarded as among the very best. It's been on the top of these leaderboards for a while. The new Falcon is supposed to be great. A few things to point out. So these leaderboards, mostly they use metrics that are about standardized factual information. I think this can be a little dangerous because A, people know what these tests are to some degree. B, the really exciting new thing about an LLM is that they can handle language so well and talk to people in natural language. So if you're looking to replace expert human knowledge with an LLM, that is dicey right now. At least it's kind of legally dicey from a liability standpoint, kind of dicey. So in my judgment, these metrics are not really measuring the kind of more interesting axis of do these do a good job of reading things and talking to people about them. They're more oriented towards something I think maybe is not the right thing to be using LLM for, but I can't speak to what everybody's doing out there, etc. This is a great segue to this new version of Falcon. Supposedly has no guardrails. I haven't tested it myself yet, but as a general comment, anybody making these LLMs is trying to cook in some kind of boundaries about what it will talk to you about. So ChatGPT made the big splash. People complain that it has a very vivid bias in a particular direction. To some degree, you want some minimal amount of this, especially if you're a business and this could be used in a chatbot that represents your business. You don't want it having every insane, nasty conversation with every insane, nasty person / New York Times reporter that could get you in trouble. And so I think it makes sense that it's a not-for-profit research institute on the other side of the planet that is less concerned about these issues with guardrails, because if you compare them to Meta, for example, they're less in a position to get a PR black eye, and they're not directly monetizing this thing. So looking at their needs, killing the Hugging Face leaderboard is great. If the thing is actually too ready to talk about Nazi stuff for you to actually use, that's less of a problem for them, given the incentives that they have. This is a good segue to Llama and Facebook. They put out a series of LLMs. They're quite good. After Falcon, a lot of the high-performing, nice open source LLMs are all descendants of one of the Llamas. I think it's interesting to point out here. So Facebook is trying to monetize these things right now. They are in a position, if they're going to use the thing, they, as a user, want it to have guardrails, as probably most business users would like something to have minimal guardrails. So you can expect, I'm guessing just based on who's making the thing, it's going to stay like that. Moving on to Google, or I guess Alphabet, Facebook / Meta, Google / Alphabet, X / Twitter. I'm falling behind. They have this model that's rumored to come out called Gemini. I just want to talk about we know basically nothing right now other than we're supposed to think it's cool. And what are the kinds of claims that come out next to that? It's cool. Things like, well, it has a gajillion parameters in it, which sounds really good. I don't think it necessarily means that it's better. In general, just a great principle in machine learning is that a model having more structure makes it easy to pretend to be good in a way that will whiplash on you later. And going back to these things about guardrails, a model doing more stuff, and parameters to some degree means the ability to do more stuff, is not good. There's also an element of, to the extent we want LLMs to know factual information, I think is worth differentiating from wanting LLMs to just be good at reading and writing. To some degree, the structure of the model, we're just pumping encyclopedias in there. So potentially, like, a lot of parameters means a lot of factual knowledge, but it could just be full of trash. And a general challenge of these models is they're very opaque. It's kind of hard to see what's going inside. Maybe what's going inside is bad. And just to say there's a lot of stuff inside is not good. So here's a good point to talk about open source versus not. And my only mention of OpenAI in this is that they're weirdly the least open player in the game at this point, which is rather odd given their name. You want to know what's under the hood. These things have the ability to act weird and embarrass you. There's a lot of conversation, I think it's sensible, about the more open source you can get, the more opportunities you have to poke at the thing and check that it's not going to do anything weird, and possibly tweak it more, and have more understanding and confidence of how you tweaked it. On the flip side, these are really sophisticated models, so you don't want to slide into doing one from scratch.